Sorry for the interruption. Welcome to biology. What do you understand by the term biology? Very good. Yes. What do you think biology is? Okay. Any answer is accepted. Don't worry. There are no stupid answers in my class. Every answer is a good answer, which can be better. So what do you understand by biology? So bio is basically life. Logy is study. So study of life. Or in other words, if you want to be very specific, study of living organisms. Right? So life is anything that is living now, right? So that includes not just human beings, includes other animals as well. It includes insects as well, includes plants as well, includes bacteria as well as other parasites. So all of these organisms come under living organisms. So I'm going to ask you a question. Recently, you must have come across something called coronavirus, COVID-19, which really impacted all of our lives, not just in Sri Lanka, but across the world. Yeah. So when it comes to these viruses, right? Do you think viruses are living organisms? Can they be called organisms? Do viruses have cells? What do you think? What is your opinion? So when I talked about living organisms, I mentioned human beings, I mentioned animals, I mentioned the insects, I mentioned the birds, I mentioned plants, I mentioned bacteria. I didn't mention viruses. Why? Did I make a mistake? Are viruses actually living? Are they not living? What is your idea? What is your idea? Living. Okay, very good. And how is that? Why do you say that? What makes you come to that conclusion? It's a good conclusion. Good. Happy with that. But why do you say that viruses don't fit the signs of life? Yeah, true. Good, very good, excellent, lovely. Smart answer. So viruses move in the air. Viruses can't move. They basically are present in the air. And if the air moves, the virus moves. Right? So when we're in a car, it's actually the car moving now. We are not doing anything to move. Right? So when viruses move about, they can't move. They don't have legs. They don't have wings like birds. Right? They don't have tails like sperm cells, for example. Right? Like bacterial cells. They don't have tails to move from one place to another. Viruses can't move. So actually viruses, as you said, they are not considered living organisms. So we can't say that viruses have cells. All living organisms have cells now. You know that basic understanding. So human cells, body cells, bird cells, plant cells, insect cells. There are cells. For any living organism to exist, there should be this thing called a cell. We'll get into that later. Viruses don't have cells. Cells are only the term you use for living organisms. Viruses are not living organisms. And we'll discuss why. So the first question is, the first topic we're going to be addressing, the first area we're going to be talking about is when we come to biology, what, sir, is then living and what is not living? What is the difference? Right? What should be there to say something is living? What should not be there for something to, if something is absent, then what should be absent for us to say that this is non-living? What does the virus not have for it to be called non-living? There's something missing now in the virus. That's why we're saying it's non-living, right? So you're living now, right? Why? What's the argument you will give to prove that you're living? You're a living organism. Okay, so to call somebody living, now can I say that this pen is living? No. Can I say that my glasses are living? No. So there should be some criteria. There should be some processes that a person or an animal should be doing for it to be called living, right? For this to be called a shirt, it should have buttons, it should have sleeves, it should have a collar, right? Why is it not called a t-shirt? Because t-shirts don't have buttons. T-shirts don't really have long sleeves. T-shirts don't have collars, right? Yeah. We call this glasses because it has two lenses, and I put it on my head in front of my eyes. Eyeglasses, right? We call this paper because something is printed on it and we use it to read certain facts, right? So, same way, to call something living and something non-living, there should be some criteria. And that's the first thing. For us as biology students, we need to look at something and say, okay, this is living because of this reason. This is not living because of this reason. That's the first thing. Otherwise, what's going to happen is random people on the street will say, my shoe is living, this board is living, this ceiling is living, my spit is living. You can't say that, no, right? There has to be some organized way. That's why it's called science. It is very logical. There's a lot of proof. There's a lot of evidence for everything, right? Why? For photosynthesis to take place, we conduct experiments to prove so photosynthesis takes place, right? To prove that there is bacteria, the bacteria present on our hands, we take a sample from our hands, look at it under a microscope, and we see bacterial cells. That's how science is now. There's always proof, right? There's always proof. So what is the proof to say that something is living or non-living? That's the first thing. So we call this the unifying characteristics of living organisms. So you can see here, basically what it means is the characteristics that living organisms have in order to be called living. What are they? So you have a list over here, right? For an organism to be called living, it should show movement. What is movement? It's all explained here, right? An action by an organism causing a change of position or place. Clear? So for you to be called living, you need to be able to move. Plants can move to a certain extent. Have you seen plants move? Have you seen when you go down south, when you go along the beaches towards Gaul, if you take the normal highway, have you seen coconut trees bent like this and growing like that? Have you seen that? Normally coconut trees go straight now. Coconut trees, they grow, bend and grow. Why? So they can grow towards the sun. So if a coconut tree is going this way and the sun is coming from this side, the coconut tree will naturally be able to bend like this and grow. So it gets more sunlight for photosynthesis. So in a way, it's considered movement. Clear? Right? Not the perfect definition of movement, but in a way, it's movement. Respiration. Have you heard of respiration before? What is respiration? Have you guys heard what respiration is? Okay, so imagine this situation. You wake up in the morning to go to school. Let's say school starts at 7:30. You have woken up at 7:25. Imagine how much of panic and worry you'll be in. That's how you'll be, you know. And then what you'll do, you'll break the world record for changing. Why? You'll get off the bed, you'll go, put some toothpaste, brush like this for a few seconds, put some water on the face, wear your clothes that you have not even washed or ironed from the previous day. That's how it is now. And then you run out of the house. Then your mother comes and says, hey, daughter, son, eat. No, I'm late, man. You don't know, my teacher will punish me. Then like a big shot, you say, no, I'm going to go. I don't want your food, right? I can't eat. I'm too worried. I'm too stressed. Then when you go to school, you manage to make it on time, or you go late and you tell me, teacher, sorry, I woke up late. Okay. First and last time. Now go to class. That's how the teachers are now. Then lunch break comes. You've forgotten to take food. You forgot to eat breakfast in the morning and you forgot to bring lunch also now. But you forget about that and you see your friends playing basketball, football, run and catches or whatever. And you also feel like, I also have to go and play now. So you go and play, right? You have not eaten anything. Now you go and play. By the time you come home at 2:30, you're like this. Honey, Ammi. Badagiri, I have no life. I feel so tired. Why? I feel so tired. I'm about to die. Then what will your mom say at that time? Your mom says, Ah, that's what I very good. You did not eat. Good, this happened. Good. That's how the mothers are. No? Very good. I'm very happy. That's how the mothers are. Right? You didn't eat and go, I'm very happy. So then what happens? She gives you a big plate of rice and you gobble it like you've been starving for 1,000 years. And that's how it is now. See the plate of rice and you finish it all. Okay. After you eat, you feel now like you have energy, right? You feel strong again. You don't feel weak anymore. You feel like you have strength. What's the reason for this? When you don't eat, you feel weak. When you eat, you feel strong. You feel like you have energy. What's the reason for this? The reason is because of this reaction. This reaction is called respiration. In respiration, it's a reaction that happens in every cell of our body. If respiration does not take place, energy will not be released. If energy is not released, your cells will die. If your heart cell dies, if your brain cell dies, if your stomach cell dies, can it function properly? No. If all of your cells die, you will also die, no? Yeah. So respiration is a reaction where, basically, in simple terms, write it down, guys. Food is combined with oxygen to release energy, carbon dioxide, plus water. So food plus oxygen will give you energy, carbon dioxide, and water. This is what is called respiration. Okay. Amaya, Yahya, Nafisa, Zahra, understood? Is it clear? Are you keeping up so far? Right. So this reaction that releases energy from food is called respiration. So food plus oxygen give you energy plus carbon dioxide plus water. So this is not the actual equation. This is a very simplified equation. Actually, it's not food, it's glucose. When you do your O-levels, you will learn that it is more specifically called glucose. Right? Glucose is the reactant. It is the molecule that is reacting with oxygen and energy is released as a result. Now, you know two things, no? You know that you have to eat. Yes, you eat, no? If you don't eat, you die. That's how it is, right? You can starve and die, no? Right? Now, what is the reason for it? What is the relationship? Have you ever thought about it? You guys go and eat, no? You will eat brownies, you will eat vatlapam, you will eat waffles, you will go to the kade and eat a toffee, you will go buy chocolates, you will eat idiyappam. You, of course, you guys don't like good food, no? Like fruits and vegetables. You only want this junk food, right? That's how it is, no? Even I also like chocolates. What to do? I eat a lot of chocolates. Very unhealthy, I know, but same thing. Anyway, so have you ever thought why you have to eat? Simple thing, no? Why should we eat? The reason is we need to eat for this reaction called respiration to take place. Respiration is the reaction. Now, photosynthesis makes glucose, no? It makes food. Respiration is the chemical reaction that releases the energy in the food. The energy that is keeping you alive. The energy that is allowing your muscles to move, to contract, for you to move from one place to another, for you to play, for you to talk, for you to think, for your nerves to function, for your heart to beat. All of that needs energy, right? For this projector to work, it needs electrical energy, right? For this laptop to work, it needs electrical energy. Everything for it to function. Now, if you look at cars, can cars work without fuel, without petrol? No. In the petrol crisis, all the cars were in the garage. They were not moving. Why? No petrol. The energy is in the petrol. The petrol has to burn, that energy is released, and when that energy is released, the car can move, right? The petrol for us is our food. The petrol for us is specifically glucose. We eat so that we have glucose for respiration. Understood? Now, why do we breathe? We breathe because you need oxygen now, right? But why do you need that oxygen? To combine with the food and release energy, right? To combine with those. Now you know something you probably never thought of before. Why you're breathing, why you're eating. It's so that you can release energy. If you don't breathe, if you don't eat, you have no energy and your cells die and you die. And that's why you're supposed to eat well and eat proper food, and you're supposed to breathe so that you have oxygen for that. Clear, right? So this reaction is called respiration. It's a very important reaction. And it's a reaction that is basically keeping you alive. Get it? Okay, right. Now, sensitivity. What is sensitivity? Now, don't think of sensitivity as I'm very sensitive. When I watch horror movies, I cry. I can't see blood. Very poor. I faint. That's not the sensitivity we are talking about in biology. In biology, the sensitivity we refer to is the ability to detect changes in our environment and respond to it. Now, is this very complicated word, this term. If you're walking down, imagine it's night, pitch black, 1 a.m. in the morning, right? Pitch black, no sun, nothing. You're walking on a road. Let's say this road. You're scared? No, it's dark. Mother and father is not there. You're scared, might be lost. Suddenly a dog comes from behind, you don't even know. Will you freak out? You'll freak out? No. Dog comes in, barks in the loudest possible. You'll freak out, right? Right? So, but then how will you freak out? You quickly jump, turn around and start running away, right? That's how it is now, because you're scared. Or if you suddenly see a car coming towards you when you're walking on the road, you look and you'll jump and save yourself now. That is sensitivity. The ability to see a change in the environment, a car coming towards you, a person coming to attack you, a dog running towards you. And when you look at that change, you respond to it now. How are you responding? By running away, by getting ready to fight, by shouting for help, 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 help. Udaw karanna ne, udaw karanna. Mama pao, taning in nemang. Clear, no? Right? So that is called sensitivity. Now, when I suddenly off the light, let's say it's the night, this class is taking place in the night, I switch off a light. You will go and you look for the switch to turn it on. No, that is also a response. No, it has become dark. You're trying to make it bright again, right? I ask you your name. You're responding with what? What's your name? What's your name? Huh? Sinuri. Your name? Huh? Arfa. So I'm asking you a question, a stimulus. You're responding to it now. You have detected something, a signal. What is the signal? My voice asking your name. Your brain recognizes it and you're responding to it. Sensitivity. Clear? Right, good. So, sensitivity. That is the example. You don't have to memorize this, guys. When you come to your O-levels, I'll explain it in detail. Now, just understand. No need to write notes or anything. I'm not going to I might hold a test. That's a different story, very simple one. But this is not a class for you to be stressed. It's a class to just make your O-levels easy. That's it. This class will make your O-levels easy. So I will not be giving you the same exact information in your O-level syllabus. Why? Because that might be a little too complicated for you to understand. No? I'll be making it very simple. So instead of saying glucose, I'm saying food. It's easy to remember. No? Instead of glucose, you come to your O-levels. I'll take it up a step. I'll increase the difficulty bit and I'll say glucose, right? Step by step. So if you guys are really smart and if you guys can understand, then I'll definitely tell you the exact same thing in the O-level syllabus. Actually, anyway, don't worry. All of this is there in the O-levels. Everything in this tube is there in the O-level syllabus, right? Everything is 100% going to be asked in the O-level syllabus. But when I'm explaining to you, I'm making it very simple for you to understand so you don't get troubled, right? So all of this is there in the viruses, bacteria, fungi. But then there is also something called protoctis. I have not talked about this in your tute. Why? Still a little too complicated to get there. Right? So you know about why you've heard about viruses now. You've heard about bacteria. You've heard about fungi. So I've explained that. Protoctis, when you come to your O-levels, we'll explain that bit. That is we're increasing the difficulty by one step. Clear? Right, okay. The next process, control. Do you know that our body, if it becomes cold, if our body feels cold, what happens? We start shivering, right? Yeah, we start shivering now. Ooh. When you feel warm, what happens? We start sweating. Yeah, we stop. Now, let's say I'm putting you in front of this AC. I'm going to reduce the temperature to 16 degrees, right? I don't give you a sweater. I don't give you a jumper, nothing. Just in your simple t-shirt, I'm putting you in front of the AC. You'll feel cold now after some time. Your body, how does it respond? Starts to shiver. Why? Because our brain detects it is really cold. That's why we start shivering. We start shivering. Why? When our muscles contract, it produces heat. And that heat will keep us warm. That's the reason. Yeah, it was cold. It was very cold last night, actually. So that's why you shiver. Suddenly, I switched the AC off and I put a oven right next to you. On an oven that is very turned on and it's very warm. Do you stop shivering? You'll stop shivering now. When the oven, when heat is placed near you, you'll stop shivering now. Why? Shivering is when you feel cold. Now you're feeling warm. See, shivering will stop when you start sweating, right? Right? That's how it is now, right? So our body can control our conditions. If our temperature is too low, it can increase the temperature by doing certain actions. If our temperature is too high, it can reduce the temperature by carrying out few actions. So shivering and sweating is an example of our body responding to changes in our internal temperature. Are we shivering because the room is cold? We are feeling cold now. We are feeling cold, right? We are not shivering so that the room will feel warm, no. Are we shivering to make the room warm? No, no. We are shivering to make us feel warm, right? So, right, okay. So if our blood glucose increases too much, have you heard of diabetes? Diabetes is a condition where, a disease where blood glucose is very high and it's harmful for people. When the blood glucose level is high, the glucose in the blood is high. So our body releases certain chemicals that reduces the glucose to normal. So whenever, now when you drink too much, let's say I make you drink 3 liters of water in 5 minutes. Will you not go and chew in the bathroom after 15, 20 minutes? That's how it is now, right? You'll definitely go and chew in the bathroom. Yes, sir. If I make you drink 3 liters now, in 5 minutes, you go and chew now, right? Why? Why is that happening? Our body detects too much water in the blood. Not good, not good. Removes the excess through urine. Clear? That is control. So living organisms can control what goes on in their bodies, in their cells. Understood? Right. Growth. This is very easy, no? Growth is a permanent increase in size. Living organism shows growth. A plant that was initially a seed becomes a massive tree. A bacterial cell that was small becomes bigger. A baby human becomes an adult. A small insect becomes a bigger one. A tiny spider becomes a massive one and comes and frightens the hell out of you when you are sleeping, right? Growth. Reproduction. The favorite chapter of all students in biology. And sometimes the reason they join biology, reproduction. They want to know about reproduction. In your senior batch, O-level 2024, the first question, sir, when are you going to teach us reproduction? I said, when we come to the reproduction chapter, I won't teach. You people come and teach me because you know better than me. So I told him, you can come sit down on my chair and you teach me, right? They know better than me. So there's already a student, right? Student from Lyceum, I've told him when I teach reproduction, he has to come and teach. Then I can learn something new. No, they're very advanced. That's why. So reproduction is basically the ability to form a cell or an right. Yeah, come. Yeah. So reproduction is basically the ability to form another organism like yourself to make more. So when you make more humans, have more human babies, it's reproduction. When a bird lays eggs, and when new birds hatch from those eggs, it's reproduction, right? When one mosquito lays eggs and forms many small mosquitoes, it's reproduction. right? So when an organism makes more of the same kind, clear? Excretion, the removal of toxic substances and substances that are excess in our body. For example, if you were to drink 3 liters of water right now, will all 3 liters be stored in your body? No. You have most probably drunk an excess of water. So what happens? It leaves through the urine. It's an example of a substance that is more than what is required. You're drinking more water than your body needs, so your body gets rid of the excess water. Toxic materials, alcohol. People drink alcohol now. Alcohol is considered a toxic material. So our body has the ability to break down alcohol and remove it from our body through the urine. So that is excretion. Removal of toxic substances that are basically harmful for our body, and substances that, because we are parethias, we are very greedy, sometimes we eat too much of, glucose or too much of water or some food. Our body says, we can't be taking everything this fellow eats. We'll be removing the excess. We'll remove the excess. It can be through the urine or through other ways. This is basically excretion, the ability to remove excess substances and toxic substances. Clear? Right. And nutrition. Basically, the butt packet that you eat, the plate of rice that you eat, the chocolate that you eat, basically all of that provides a fuel for respiration. The fuel is the food. You need petrol to make your car move. You need petrol for combustion. What is combustion? Basically burning, no? Right? Oxygen reacts with a substance and energy is released. The combustion of our cells is respiration. And the fuel is the food. When we eat food, it combines with oxygen and it provides energy for growth, for our development, for our movement, for the functions of our cells. Is that clear? Right. Okay. So this can be explained in a very simple way. How you can remember this? There is an abbreviation called Mrs. C. Gren. Write it down. MRS, Mrs. C. Gren. It stands for movement. This is how you remember it, right? Respiration. Sensitivity. Control. Growth. Reproduction. Excretion. Nutrition. This is how you remember it. Mrs. C. Gren. This is how you can keep it in mind. Clear? This is how you remember. Okay. So once again, biology is the study of living organisms, the study of life, right? For us to say something is living, we need some criteria. We need some points. Otherwise, random buggers will come and say, this is living, this is living, this is living. Can we accept that? No. When you're studying science, you have to be a scientist. And whatever that we accept has to have proof, right? So to prove that this is living, scientists have come and said, okay, to prove that it's living, it needs to show movement. Can this move on its own? No, this cannot move on its own. Can this respire and release energy? No. Can this be sensitive if I shout, hey, useless fellow, do something? Does it respond and shout back, hey, what are you saying? Don't call me useless. Is it saying that? No, right? Is it saying, does it have the ability to control itself? If you put a black mark on it like this, Does it say, Ane, I'm too blue, I'm going to remove this blue mark? Doesn't say that, no. Can it remove it? Can it control its internal conditions? No, no. Right? It can't change anything about itself. It'll just remain as it is. Can it grow? Can a 10, what is this? How many centimeters is this? Can a 5 centimeter ruler become a 10 centimeter ruler? I wish. Then when I go for my maths exams or whatever, if I say, hey, become 10 centimeters, I can use it based on the requirement, right? We wish, but no, it cannot grow. Can it reproduce? Can it form another ruler? No, it can't. Is it urinating? There is no chew coming out. There is no kakka coming out. So nothing is happening, right? By the way, stools, which is basically kakka, right? That is not excretion. Remember that, okay? That is a completely different part. It's a part of digestion and it's known as egestion. When we study human nutrition, we'll study this. So remember, passing stools, kakka, is not excretion. It's not excretion. Understand that, right? Basically, kakka is undigested food that we're removing from our body. Food that has not been digested. So remember that, right? Okay, so there's a difference. Urine is an example of excretion, but not stool formation. Okay, right. Can this eat? Can't eat. So therefore, this is not living. So viruses do not move. Viruses do not respire. Viruses are not sensitive. Viruses do not have control. Viruses do not have growth. Viruses do not reproduce. Viruses, let's say, grow reproduction. Viruses do not excrete. Viruses do not show nutrition. The only thing that viruses show is reproduction. You're right. But you said, no, you remember something about reproduction in viruses. That something is, for viruses to reproduce, they need a host cell, meaning that the coronavirus, it cannot make, let's say this is the coronavirus, a virus particle. For it to make many more particles, it cannot do it on its own. It has to enter a cell, and inside this cell only, it can make new particles by using the substances inside the cell. By using whatever it is in the cell. Now, for example, let's say I'm a thief. I don't have a place to sleep, right? I jump into your house and use your bed, use your laptop. I'm like a virus because I'm using what is inside. I don't have a house of my own. I don't have a bed. I'm coming into your house and using your bed, using your toilet, using your phone, right? Same thing with the virus. It doesn't have anything inside of it to cause it to reproduce. So it enters another cell. We call that cell the host cell. And inside this host cell only, it can reproduce and multiply. So yes, viruses, they show reproduction, but they can't do it on their own. They need a host cell. So viruses show reproduction. They don't show any of the other features needed to call it living. But even if it shows, even though it's showing reproduction, it can only show it only if it has a host cell. Understood? Clear now? Perfect, right? Okay, good. So there you go. Now you understand what features you need to have to be called a living organism. Now you know what features you need to have in order to be called why viruses are not called living, why other organisms are called living, why this ruler is not called living. Now you understand. So if anyone argues and tells you, some fellow comes to you and says, Sinuri, your water bottle is living. Now you can argue and say, my water bottle doesn't move unless I move it. My water bottle doesn't reproduce. My water bottle doesn't eat. It doesn't show nutrition. My water bottle doesn't chew. It doesn't show excretion. My water bottle cannot grow. It is not sensitive. It has no control. You are wrong. So he'll get a headache and he'll walk away. He'll be like, no more. I'm not talking to Sinuri again. I'm not going to say stupid things to Sinuri again. Okay, that's how it works. Right, okay. Right, okay. So there are there are two types of cells that we need to talk about. Now, when it comes to vehicles, what are the types of vehicles you can have? You can have cars, you can have buses, you can have motorbikes, you can have lorries. Am I right? Yeah, there are different types of vehicles, no? Now, even when it comes to cells, there are two main types of cells. It's divided into two: eukaryotes and prokaryotes. Okay, two types of cells: eukaryotes and prokaryotes. Okay, basically, have you heard of the nucleus in a cell? Have you been thought about the nucleus? Basically, we'll get to this later. We'll first cover cells. Okay, then you'll be able to understand it. Okay. Now, we'll go to cell structure. Do you guys know what a cell is? Tell me what you understand by a cell from your current knowledge. Have you studied cells before? Not yet? Have? What do you understand by a cell? So some textbooks will tell you cell is the basic unit of life. Some textbooks will say cells are the structural and functional unit of life. Now, what the hell do you mean by this? What do you mean by cells are the structural unit of life? What do you understand by cells are the functional unit of life? What does all of this actually mean? Now, let me give you an example to help you understand. You see this brick wall, right? So you have a wall here. To make a wall, what do you need? You need a brick. Am I right? Yes. One brick, can one brick make a wall? No. You need to have several bricks laid one on top of each other. Then you have then only you have the brick wall. Yes, am I right? Yes. So a wall, for a wall to be made, you need a brick. Even if you take a massive 10-story, 15-story tallest building in Sri Lanka, you still need bricks now to make it. One golf face, big building. Platinum, 3 stories. My house, 1 story. That small shop, small space. All of these different buildings, they cannot be made without a brick. No, you need a brick now to be made. Whether it's that red color brick or concrete brick, you still need bricks. No. Similarly, for cells, for any living organism to be made, you need cells. So that's why we call the cell the basic structural unit of life. Structural unit means you cannot make a living organism without having a brick. Sorry, without having a cell. Sorry about that. You cannot make a living organism without a cell. The same way you cannot make any building in Sri Lanka without a brick. Yes or no? You need some sort of building material now. Some of you might be thinking, no, sir, you can make wood out of wooden. You can make some houses out of wood. So you don't need bricks. So still you need wood now to make that house. Some will say, oh, no, sir, you can make steel. Steel is not bricks. You can make it out of steel. Steel is still some sort of building material now. Can you make any building without building material? No, right? Similarly, every living organism is made out of cells. So we call cells the basic structural unit of life. To make the structure that is our living body, the plants, the birds, the insects, other animals, you need cells. That's why it's called a structural unit of life. To make any living structure, you need to make Okay, good. Cells are also called the functional unit of life. What do you understand by cells are called the functional unit of life? Guess what do you think it means? Amaya, Yahya, what do you think this means? Cells called the functional unit of life. What do you think this means? Functional unit means because of the cell, our body is able to function. Our brain is made out of cells. If it is not made out of cells, can our brain be a brain? No, no. Without muscle cells, can our heart pump? Can our heart do its job? Can our heart live? No. For any living organism to function, you need to have cells because it is a cell that is carrying out that function. Understood? Right? So, if you want a fan to spin, there should be a motor inside now that makes it spin. So, for any living organism to function, to carry out a function, to carry out a purpose, an action, we need cells. That's why cells are called a basic functional unit. If you take our skin, put it under the microscope, cut it into small pieces, and you look for the smallest unit, that smallest unit is the cell. Because of that cell, our skin has formed. Because of our cell, our muscles have formed. Because of our cell, our stomach, our other organs, our windpipe, our nose, our lips, all of that is being formed because of cells, because they're the structural unit of life and they're able to function. They're able to, my muscles in my voice box are able to move because these cells are contracting and relaxing. I'm able to breathe because my chest muscles are moving, causing my air to move in and out of the lung. I'm able to move my hand because my bicep muscles, they're made out of cells now. They are contracting and relaxing. So for a living organism to function, you need to have cells, otherwise they will not function. That is why if I kill all the cells in my heart will not function. If I kill all the cells in my brain will not function. For an organ for something in our body to function, we need to have cells. Now you understand what it means. Cells are the structural unit of life. Without cells, we can't make the structures of our face, our body, our hands, all of the shapes of our bodies, because cells are arranged that way. So if you look at your finger, for example, your thumb, there will be billions of cells, billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of cells arranged, making this thumb. You can't even imagine. And if you go break your thumb into pieces, smaller and smaller pieces, you'll find out there is a cell. Because of these cells, so many cells arranged, one on top of each other, like the way one brick is arranged one on top of each other to make a wall, to make a bigger wall, to make 1 floor, 2 floors, 3 floors, 4 floors. You need bricks now. Same with the cells. And to make this thumb move, for it to have this appearance, for it to grip things, that also you need to have cells, otherwise it will not function. Clear? This is what you have to remember. Now you know that living organisms need to have those features, those 7 features: movement, respiration, sensitivity, control, growth, reproduction, excretion, nutrition. Mrs. Seagren. And that for a living organism to have a shape, to have a structure, to have a function, it needs to have cells. So for any living organism, cells are the basic and most simple structure that we have to be happy about and have to appreciate. Because you are there only, I'm living well. We have to thank ourselves. Clear? Guys online, is that clear? Amaya? Clear? Krisan, Nafisa, all clear? So we have to thank ourselves for our existence. All right, okay. So, right. So when you look at cells, you see that there are many structures within them, right? Now, if you were to look at a cell, a drawing of a cell, this is what you look like. Plant cells, they look different from animal cells. Okay, plant cells look different. We'll talk about what the reason is. Now, think of your cell as your bedroom, for example, right? First thing, to call a room, you need to have walls, no? Without walls, will it be called a room? Will it be called a house? No, it will just be ground, right? You take an empty land and you start building walls, then you call it a house. Within the house, if you build some more walls, we call it rooms. That's how it works, no? Otherwise, if there are no walls, it's just a ground, right? Anyone can enter or leave. So, similarly, guys, for you to have a cell, there should be like this there should be a structure that is keeping it separate from the surroundings, no? Right? There should be like the wall is keeping, otherwise I can come and say, no, this is my ground. This is my house. What is, how can you argue? No, so this wall here, this area where this area surrounded by this wall, this is my house. This is the demarcation. This is the barrier that says that this is my property, this is my land. Same way, when it comes to a cell, that structure is called the cell membrane. The structure is called the cell membrane. It separates the cell from its environment. Like your room. Your room separates your room from the bathroom. No, otherwise I can call your room the bathroom. Right? It's not right now, right? So hall is separated from the kitchen or the dining room by walls now. Similarly, a cell is separated from its environment by a cell membrane. Inside this area, the cell can do whatever it wants to do. Whatever important life process, whatever important process that is essential for the living of our body takes place now in this cell membrane. Clear? Now, in your room, if you take your room, let's say I'm going to draw your room now. Three-dimensional cube-like structure. Your room is like a cell. It has walls separating it from the environment, right? Cell membrane is also separating the cell from the environment. In your cell, you have a bed, right? You sleep on the bed. You might even study on the bed. You may have a table. Table, you study, you eat, you may watch like movies on your laptop, right? You may read a book on it. Then you have a book rack. Here you store all your books, your study books, your story books, whatever, right? So guys, similarly, in a cell, there are structures in the cell that have a certain function important for the living of the cell. We call these structures organelles. We call these structures organelles. Clear? Right? We call it organelles. So in the next class, we'll be studying what are these organelles? What are the different organelles present? What is their function? Why are they there? If you look at this classroom, this room, there are tables. This is for me to keep my laptop and my tablet to teach you, right? You have a table for you to write and take notes, to keep your pencil case, to keep your water bottle, right? There is a projector to show you the screen, right? Same way in a cell, there are smaller structures called organelles. Organelles that also have functions. One organelle will have a certain purpose. It releases energy. Other organelle, it makes proteins, right? So like that, it is there. Okay, so we'll study that in the next class. Any questions you want to ask me about this chapter so far? Is everything 100% clear? Crystal clear? People online, is it crystal clear? Yeah, so guys, just message me. My number 0, put my number up, right? Message me on this number so that, just take my number down. So that I have a WhatsApp group for your batch. I can message you. You guys note down the number. Message me so that I upload the tutes there. I send the recordings over there. So don't worry about the class timings. It won't be like this in the future. So today was a small emergency. I had to change the timing today. for next week onwards, we'll try to find a solution for this. Right? So tell your parents that as well. It's just an emergency because I work as a doctor. So I'm work at Sri Lanka's biggest hospital. So we are sometimes busy. I never have to reschedule my O-level classes, and I don't do it. Can ask your colleagues who are doing O-levels with me. But Sundays, the day where it's problematic, I can only put your class on a Sunday. So because of that, there are a few issues. We will solve it. Don't worry, in a way that is convenient for you. So anyway, next week I can have it at the normal time. You have your chemistry at 4:30, is it? The schedule for biology is 5:30 to 6:30, is it? I can't remember. Anyway, we'll 5:45 to 6:45. Yeah, anyway, I'll let you know what time we can either have the class early. I can have the class early, or I can have it as in 2 hours. For example, from 5:45 to 6:45, something will work out. Don't worry about it. Okay, so off day, I can have it for 2 hours. Then if I do it on 2 Sundays, 4 hours is complete now. If I have it on 2 Sundays, right? So then you can go and revise. So let's see what can be done. Okay, so you guys can leave. You're going to be going home and coming, I think, no? Yeah. So anyway, tell your parents that's the plan going ahead, that you will not be having an inconvenience again. Okay, take care, and I will see you next Sunday.